Let's try that again.
I got audio now over there on Rumble.
You got audio on Rumble now, guys?
I just heard it. I'm still over there.
Okay, I can hear it. All right.
I can hear me too.
All right, good deal. So we got it back for you guys. I apologize. It's been a long couple days with the audio, but looks like we're good.
30.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. Looks like we, I want to apologize to those of you who like to watch the show. We have had some software upgrades on the videos, why we haven't been up on video for a couple days, but we are back on Rumble and YouTube, and we are back up on Facebook, and I know there was no audio in that segment, but the audio is back now. And I can't tell you how people behind the scenes are making it happen. But it's there. So thanks for your patience there. But remember, Greg, it is a what?
That's a radio show.
It's a radio show, yeah. So if that ever happens, all you got to do is go to Guns. And by that, I mean just go to armedamericanradio.com and click Listen Live. It's pretty much that simple, but we got it back up for you. So thanks for the heads up. We do appreciate it very, very much, those of you that like to watch the program as well as tune in. Welcome back inside 6 Hour Studios with me, guys. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. You heard that. Rejoin Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/AAR. Use the AAR promo code and get a free month of activation. You can do one phone at a time, or you can do the whole shebang. It's entirely up to you. It can be expensive if you don't own all your phones. If you do, and you're not paying them, or if you got them paid off, it's no big deal. Just switch them right there. It takes 2 seconds. patriotmobile.com/AAR. I've done it one phone at a time because I'm in the same boat you are in, and it was expensive. So not to Patriot Mobile, but because I had to pay the phones off before I could switch them over because they have to be unlocked. So you know the routine. patriotmobile.com/AAR and get some great service over there. We appreciate all of our great partners. Find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Paul Markle, student of the gun. Welcome back in, my brother, from another mother. Modern technology, man. When it's out of your control, sir. It's out of your control, you know. But anyway.
Or another one, I don't know if you have, how often you have this. I got an email from my power company saying, hey, P.S., we're going to shut your power off for maintenance on Tuesday morning for a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've never they
just did that like a month ago on a Tuesday morning. They had to replace a pole. And they gave us a heads up, and true to form, the power went out, and it stayed out for like 4 hours.
You have power in Wyoming? I thought that was a modern amenity.
Yeah, no.
Pioneers,
but
man.
It's funny. Of course, it could be any other day. What day do we pre-record our radio? Tuesday morning.
The day you don't have power. It's just the way it always works.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, well,
so there you go. Force is out of your control. Yeah.
Well, when it happens, it happens. I wish, like right now, we can't figure out why X doesn't have the show up. We just can't figure it out. But whatever, it is what it is. Taking it easy on a Friday for you guys. There's an interesting story out of Vermont. When you think Vermont. When I think Vermont, because I've been around long enough, I remember when constitutional carry was called Vermont-style carry. Remember that, Paul?
Yeah. Well, there was two. It was New Hampshire and Vermont that were. Wasn't Massad Ayoob originally from New Hampshire, or does he still live in New Hampshire?
No, he's in Florida, but he is.
Oh, yeah.
Still has his active duty law enforcement credentials in New Hampshire, and.
Yeah.
Massad Ayoob, I love Massad Ayoob. Massad Ayoob's down in Florida right now, but Massad Ayoob hails from New Hampshire. That is true. Very good.
Anyway, if you know Massad, that sounds just like him. But there's an interesting story because it was always referred to as Vermont-style carry, guys, okay? Vermont never had a permit ever. the gun laws were fantastic. You think about Vermont, Ben and Jerry's, a bunch of liberals. But Vermont had, and honestly, true liberalism would be like that. Old school classic liberalism. Everybody do what they want.
If they were honest.
Yeah, of course. Vermont was for a long time. And then they started getting political and they started moving and shifting and all that. We don't have time to cover all that. But Governor Phil Scott is going to veto a proposed gun ban in Burlington bars.
I saw that.
Yeah, when I looked at that, I did a double take, and I thought, did I read that headline right? Yeah, I did. Governor Phil Scott says he'll veto proposed gun ban in bars, in Burlington bars. And the subhead on that is even more telling. The governor had sharp words for the state's largest city on Wednesday. So let's check that out together. I don't think that's going to fix what ails Burlington. Okay, there's your answer. Right? That's what Governor Phil Scott told reporters on Wednesday at his weekly press conference, speaking about a proposed change to the laws governing the state's largest city that would ban guns from bars and other establishments that serve alcohol. He said he would veto the proposal, the only gun control measure legislators have advanced this year in the state, if it even makes it to his desk, and that's no guarantee. The bill is S-131. It cleared the Senate late last month. It has, and I'm quoting now from Vermont Digger, it has since been in the House Government Operations and Military Affairs Committee, which took testimony on the proposal as recently as Tuesday afternoon this week. Asked if his committee would pass out the proposal in time to get it to the governor before the end of the session, Matt Barong, a Democrat from Vermont, who was the panel's chair, gave only a short answer, perhaps. So there's no guarantee, Vermonters, that that's going to come out. But the governor has said that he will, in fact, veto it. I thought that was kind of interesting. Scott, he had a couple interesting takes here. Like, who's going to stand at the door and frisk people? He told reporters on Wednesday. You could have a metal detector?
It's this typical, I while you were talking, I just looked it up and I just put in Burlington, Vermont, and it said, uptick in violent crime in Burlington, Vermont. Robberies, assaults, shootings, aggravated assaults, and so forth.
Okay, so if you ban guns in bars, who's not going to take guns in bars?
The law-abiding people.
Criminals don't care about that law. They're going to take a gun in a bar anyway. There's no law that matters.
Disarm themselves.
No, but we beat this dead horse all the time, right? We beat this up almost ad nauseum, but we have to.
Yeah. So they rather than, because, liberalism, you cannot hold and this goes all the way back to, you name the topic. Liberalism says you cannot hold people responsible for their behavior. Whether we're talking about guns, guns and crime, or we're talking about abortion, or we're talking about poverty, or we're talking about whatever. People aren't responsible for their behavior. It's the object. It's the system. And how do we fix that? Well, if we have to give the government more power. We have to give the government the authority to restrict and to license and so forth.
Is the driver not responsible for the car, or is the car responsible for the driver's actions?
Well, if you're a liberal, it's the car's fault.
Okay, well, there's an old ad on Armed American Radio that Alan Gottlieb ran. He said, you don't need a car capable of doing 200 miles an hour or 150 miles an hour. Okay, you want one, you have one. So I guess the argument that would be, well, that car's too fast. Why do you need a car that goes over 85 miles an hour, right?
Well, yeah, the idea that we can ban speeding by taking away V8 engines or whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know anything about those electric vehicles, but those Teslas will go from 0 to 200 in 3 seconds. I mean, they'll blow my vet right off the map, and I've had a couple of them play with me too, and I don't even bother with them. Particularly those Plaids. Those things are unbelievable. If you've ever seen, a lot of people don't realize those cars just take off like a rocket ship. They're fast, and they make no noise in the process. It's pretty interesting how that works, but nonetheless. We've got 2 more segments with Paul Markel, student of the gun, here on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, live from the 6 Hour Studios today. Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone fired up for you here at the ranch. Make sure to check out all of our partners. Our newest sponsor, gotta love them, Attorneys on Retainer. And I've already heard from a lot of you. Make sure to use that promo code AAR and get a big discount. We'll be right back. myself because it's sitting there. Trying to get a riff move down.
$30.
$30.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
Yeah, Daniel Defense is freedom, passion, and precision, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to check them out. DanielDefense.com, DanielDefense.com, DanielDefense.com. And you can also check out the DoubleDFoundation.org, the DoubleDFoundation.org. You can check, Heaven's Harvest, ladies and gentlemen. They're 40% off going on right now. Almost forgot to tell you that. Heaven's Harvest, that emergency food supply. Clayton Llewellyn and the family got it going on. Memorial Day sale going on. 40% off over at heavensharvest.com. That is a huge savings. I don't recall them ever doing one that large. 40% off on the, believe me, you will sleep better knowing that you have that. I don't know why that is. It just is. You know, I know I go to bed at night knowing something happens to me. My family can eat for a good couple years at least. I've got a ton of that stuff. Heavensharvest.com. Check them out. BarrelBuddy.com. We're going to have a promo code for you coming up here real soon from Barrel Buddy. Barrel Buddy, Barrel Buddy, Barrel Buddy. And don't forget ammosquared.com. Stack the ammo like I do. It's your own private 401k for your ammo supply. Keep it in a controlled warehouse, climate-controlled warehouse at their warehouse. When you want it, they ship it to you right away. If you don't want it, just keep stacking up. It's like a 401k. Like I said, just keep stacking ammo. I'm getting close to 3,000 rounds every single Wednesday. You've got ammo. You've got ammo. And I'm doing $15 a week, folks. You can do the same thing. You can do less. You can do more. Stack as much as you want, as fast as you want. Take the supply. You can switch calibers whenever you want. Ammosquared.com. Ammosquared.com. Emerson Knives. Don't forget them. 10% off. Promo code AAR. You get the routine. And attorneys on retainer. Use the AAR promo code and get a discount over there when you sign up. And a number of you have. I've seen some emails from you, and I appreciate all of the commentary. And I got a couple texts from some listeners who have been around for a long time that said, man, I feel so much better just today. It only takes 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great deal. My entire family is signed up. Yours can be too. Just use the promo code and say thanks for supporting Armed American Radio. That's the way it works. We'll be out there with Mark Victor from Attorneys on Retainer on June 5th, not next week, the week after. And we'll be broadcasting from AM 980, the Patriot Studios out there, live for you, 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Eastern time with Mark and the crew. Paul Markle, student of the gun. Welcome back, my brother. How many books you up to right now, bro?
Oh, I don't know, 40 plus.
40 plus, did you say?
Yeah, 40 plus. I don't know the exact number.
We're going to stay on the gun control topic. Yeah, 40 plus. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to name them all because I can't either. There's and I'm just going to read the headline. I don't want to go into any much. Maybe we'll read a little bit of it to get the gist of it. But committee forms to protect Massachusetts gun laws from upcoming ballot question. Gun violence prevention advocates established a campaign earlier this month in response to a ballot question committee calling to repeal the 2024 state gun regulation law. A Vote Yes for a Safe Massachusetts campaign launched on May 12th and aims to protect the overarching bill that most notably regulates untraceable ghost guns, expands data collection. That means they got all your information, folks. You're on a list, and that's registration, and prohibits guns in polling places and government buildings, blah, 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 blah. So what they're trying to do now is to circumvent any expansion of gun rights in that hideous state that should not be able to lay claim to that hallowed ground at Lexington Green and Concord anymore, Paul. They just won't stop, will they? Ever, never, never, will they?
No, and that's something that you need to understand is there will never be enough gun control because it doesn't work. They know in their black, sick, twisted hearts that restricting the liberties of the law-abiding will never curb criminality. And they know it. They understand it. But it doesn't matter to them because it's about control and it's about power. And, the fact is, you and I discussed it at length, and it's been a while, but, in the book Examining the Armed Citizen, we made the case that liberal, tyrannical politicians love crime and they love terrorism. They will never admit it, but they do. They love it. I mean, let's face facts. Whenever there's a Democrat-inspired murder, a Democrat-inspired mass murder, I mean, they're knocking over old ladies and little children to get to the microphone.
It's all part of their agenda. It's built in. It's baked into the cake. They have it already set to go. Yes.
Yeah, the blood's not even dry on the sidewalk, and they're screaming for more laws. They'll never say, well, the laws that you had already failed and didn't work. Yeah, but we need more. Look at the history of gun control in the world. Look at Canada. The reasonable Canada went from, you can have regular guns. You just can't have super mean, assaulty type guns, but you can have regular guns. And then it went from no super mean, assaulty guns to no handguns to, it'll never end. I mean, England, the United Kingdom is a perfect example of it will never end.
No, it's not.
Eventually, they'll come for your pointy objects.
Well, you mentioned, them coming at another left-wing lunatic. You had Washington, D.C., 2 Israeli diplomats were murdered by a left-wing lunatic screaming one of the Democrats' new talking points, free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine. Where are they now? Okay. Chris Murphy's out there running his fat mouth, lying mouth. This guy gets on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, every single day and spews lie after lie after lie after lie. Intentionally. He knows he's doing it. It's intentional misinformation. The guy is, these people are just zealots. They're hateful. They're evil. He does it intentionally. It's all politics. It's all agenda. Nothing based in fact. And I wish, let me see if I can find that because I responded to him and it got a lot of responses. Oh, yeah, speaking of Twitter, I put a tweet out yesterday. It was kind of funny. It was a meme that said, found this cool shell formation while walking on the gun range. And it had spent shell casings laid out like Comey's shells, 8647, except this said abolish the ATF. I think it's got about 3,000 or 4,000 views already. But let's see if I can find Murphy. It's not hard to do. Oh, there. Now he's going after Trump's meme coin. He's probably he lies so much on there. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get back to it. But he was talking about the. I had to remind him that it was a left-wing lunatic screaming "Free, free Palestine" as he was talking about there's no room for hate, except it's his party screaming "Free, free Palestine," and we all know what that means. And it's his little follower that's out there offing people. That's sheer terrorism that apparently they support.
It's the twisting and the obfuscation and it's insane to me that any person. Well, let's face facts. Liberalism is a mental disease, And if you have aunts and uncles or mothers and fathers or cousins or whatever that support these people, let's face facts. They can't be trusted. They can't be trusted to make sound decisions. In the year 2025, if you've got someone who's openly supporting the American Democrat Party, that person, they might be nice and they might be your friend, but they can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Because just the in your face evil coming out of that party, and the fact that you could excuse it or pretend that it doesn't exist, they can't get away from, except for the media decides to engage in a pattern of lies by omission. But they can't get away from the mass murders in this country, the terrorists in this country, the assassins in this country are all leftists.
30 seconds. We're up against the break now, so I have to hold it till we come back. I want to talk about the media briefly, because this whole Biden cover-up, it's remarkable to me that there are people that couldn't see a cover-up. Now you've got the media doing their level best by coming out saying we weren't told. They were the ones that were reporting or leaving out what we knew was happening with Biden. You can't believe one word, not one word that comes from mainstream press, ladies and gentlemen, not one. And if you still do and you believe that's news, you're stupid. The evidence is there. It's been there for decades. Your eyes have been closed. If you don't see it, that's your problem. You need to fix yourself. Seek some help. Good heavens, it's all over the place. Open your flippin' eyes. We'll be back. Paul Markel, student of a gun. SOTGU.com. One more segment.
This segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Daniel Defense. Visit DanielDefense.com. Now, back to the show.
Back to the show. Welcome inside the 6 Hour Studios with me, guys. Daniel Defense is the real deal. All of our great partners. Find them all. MyPillow.com. Support Mike for supporting the show. And you do. I see the reports every single week. I mean, guys, the great discounts over there, I'll just use the AAR promo code. Wherever you see it. Wherever you see something you might want, you get the deal simply by using the AAR promo code. And that simply says, hey, Mike, thanks for supporting my gun rights for about 12 years on Armed American Radio. Believe me when I tell you, we couldn't do this without you guys. So we need our partners. We need you. We need all of our sponsors. And you guys make it all happen. We scratch each other's backs. That's the way it works. So support them. Support them all. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. And we have a huge announcement coming up on June 1. Been teasing that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I got to say about that right now. That's the rumor. Paul Markel, student of the gun. Welcome back, my brother.
All right. Where do you want to go from here?
I want to go to suppressors. Trump's big, beautiful bill has pulled suppressors out of the NFA. And Democrats are whining and screaming and crying, which is, we were talking about media before.
It's typical.
Yeah, let me just go there. They've been lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you believe anything from mainstream press at this point, you need to seek some psychological counseling. You really should. They've been lying to you for so long. They've gaslighted you for so long. Most of you know that. The ones that don't are probably not fixable anyway. And if you know people like that, ladies and gentlemen, just stay away from them. They're not good for you. But it looks like this has legs. And I feel pretty good about it. How do you feel about it? You think it's going to make it through the Senate? I think it's going to.
It's not going to make it anywhere if we don't push down on the gas pedal. We really need to. We need to push.
How do we do it?
We can't get on the phones.
Boom.
Get on the phones. I know people don't like it. Get on the phones. And if you're active, I know a lot of people out there that are active in their parties, their state parties, and so on and so forth. You need to get on these people and you need to educate them. One of the things that we're having to deal with the NRA is before we had, and we don't have time to get into all the reform movement and so forth, but I've talked to just, a couple of the board members, and a lot of people on the board are not who you think they are. When I say that, you think that everybody on the NRA board carries concealed, understands, the ins and outs and the ups and downs of rifles and suppressors and, all that. And the fact is a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't go to training. A lot of them might be nice people, they might be businessmen, but, you might be thinking that your senator, because he has an R behind his name, is an educated person. And that's not necessarily the case.
That's a good point.
There's a lot of misinformation, and it's purposeful and it's deliberate and it's been done. When you're talking about a firearm silencer, and Hiram Maxim Jr., the son of the machine gun guy, he patented that well over 100 years ago. I think we're going on 115 years or more. So you're talking about an invention that is a century old. And we have people that view it like it's some kind of magic talisman. They don't, it's magic, right? They don't understand how it works or why it works or whatever.
It's a muffler.
It's literally, it's the precursor to the automobile muffler. So the fact is noise is just noise. And we've got to help people understand that noise doesn't, from our side, I know that the other side is just going to lie, but from our side, we need to make people understand, look, the noise of the shot doesn't make the bullet more accurate. It doesn't make it fly straighter or further or faster or whatever. Noise is just noise. And if we have the ability to reduce the noise, why don't we do it? And it doesn't, when it comes to rifles and so forth, it doesn't go, or this idea that you can fire a .308 rifle.
That's Hollywood.
In in a bedroom and no one will hear it.
Yeah, that's Hollywood.
It's ridiculous.
That's Hollywood.
And those lies have been perpetrated, deliberately to keep people stupid, so that like, oh, it's a tool of assassins. And you say, oh, come on, Paul. Gun people understand. No, they don't. I was once a member of a gun range. It was an outdoor gun range with trap and skeet and all that nonsense. And one of the club rules was you were not allowed to use suppressors.
What was the rationale for that? Yeah, what was the rationale? I'm curious.
They said, we can't have people using suppressors here, because then people will claim that listen to this. They said this in a board meeting, training assassins.
Oh, yeah. Oh. It's Hollywood, bro. It's all Hollywood.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's that fit mentality.
Yeah. They said, well, people will think we're training assassins.
Take the gun, leave the cannolis. Come on, man. Where everything is just silent. You can walk right into a crowd of people and fire a gun at somebody. And nobody knows. It's not like that, ladies and gentlemen. We covered that yesterday in detail, that the average report of a gunshot is 140 decibels. A silencer, I like the term suppressor because it's not a silencer, even though it's interchangeable. I get it. I prefer suppressor. Hold on. But it lowers the report of the gunshot to below 130. So it's still,
right.
And I fired many of them.
Hearing safe.
It's hearing safe. It doesn't crack that decibel crack that pops in eardrum, for example, is what is suppressed, right? And if you've ever fired a round, and I tell us it's a funny story, but I was taking some training down in Florida a number of years ago, and I was doing a drill where we were moving and sprinting 5 yards up and 5 yards back. And it was a pretty intense drill, and about 10 of us on the live fire range, moving and shooting at that 5 yard interval. And it wasn't until we came back and debriefed after that drill that it dawned on me that I had failed to put my hearing protection on before the drill started, because it started quicker. I rushed out to the line. And it was then when I started thinking about not having my headset on, that's when my ears started to ring. But while I was moving through the drill, the adrenaline rush was such that I didn't even hear it. But it wasn't until, and it's kind of like being punched in the face in a fight. You don't feel it until after the fight. You realize, oh my God, I think I got punched in the face, right? That's pretty much what it was like, but you can really feel it. And it is a difference with a suppressed weapon because it doesn't get to that level, which is what we want. That's why it's the Hearing Protection Act, folks. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry. Take us to the break.
With the thing with this, people get. I'm not saying you are, but there are people in our world that get wrapped around the axle about the term silencer, and they're like, "Oh, it's a Hollywood term." No, it's not. The guy who invented it, the Hiram P. Maxim silent firearm, is what it says on the patent application. So if the dude who came up with the idea used the term silencer, it's really arrogant for our community to say, well, we know better. So you know better than the guy who invented it?
No, I'll tell you what I thought. We're getting ready to end this one. I'll just say this to close out. The reason I don't like the term silencer, either way, it doesn't matter. I would prefer to use suppressor, is because of what Hollywood's done to it. Of course, there's that argument, and we could have that discussion next week when you're on. That's how we take the language back, is by not letting them win on that, okay? So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get it. Hey, Paul, real quick, tell people where they can go find you, man, and then you enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, brother.
I'll be teaching, and you could take one of our classes. You could start training today. Go to SOTGU.com. Get yourself some professional firearms training right now.
That'll work. SOTGU.com. Thank you, Paul Markle, for being here. Student of the gun. He's the professor and a fan favorite for a reason. Ladies and gentlemen, please support all of our sponsors. You can find them at armedamericanradio.com. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Have a great holiday. I'll see you Sunday on the radio. We'll have an encore coming up on Monday. Enjoy your day.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Hopefully, on Sunday's broadcast, we'll be back up on X. I had anticipated that today, but, yeah, that was a no-go. And as far as the sound was, well, that's been fixed. So we're back up on YouTube, back up on Facebook, back up on Rumble. I feel certain we'll be back up on Sunday, but I said that about today as well as being on X. But anyway, guys, have a safe weekend. Enjoy the crap out of it. You know, try to grill hard. Barbecue while armed. Grill hard this weekend. And if you can, don't use gas, use charcoal. You've got 15 minutes to give yourself some downtime and smell those coals burning. Throw some wood chunks on there. You know what I'm saying? Take it up a level. You have time. You do. Don't give me that, oh, gas is so convenient. Go get you a Weber charcoal grill at Home Depot and try it. You'll like it. Enjoy your day, guys. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio Sunday live. As we said, Monday's a holiday, so we'll be running an encore or a taped show, one of the two. And likely going to be an encore because we don't need Greg to come in and mess with all that stuff. But anyway, thanks for tuning in today. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Summer's off to a great start, hopefully, for you and your family. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio on Sunday.